Hey everyone, welcome back. So, I started this project about 6 months ago. It took weeks of physical labor, and honestly, it's taken me just as long to get through all of the video files so I can finally tell the story. This wasn't just a room makeover, it was a lesson in accountability, which started with a much needed double purge and ended in an amazing space for my grandkids and I, all made out of cardboard and vinyl. This project meant a lot to me, and I am so excited to finally show you how it all came together. I hope you enjoy the story and the build. Let's get to it. In order to turn this room from a hazardous workshop into a safe play area for the grandkids, I first had to tackle the roadblocks in the downstairs storage unit. This was another stressful situation all on its own that had also been weighing on me for years. This meant facing stacks of boxes I'd been packing around for over 2 decades. My late mother's old documents, every tax return I'd ever filed, and years of mementos just stacking up. After 3 weeks and 18 bags of shredding later, I finally thought I'd made some headroom. But even with the clutter moved out, the room still didn't work, and it kind of felt like a big band-aid. I was using a thin plastic storage system that was never really designed for the weight it was bearing, and it was starting to buckle under pressure and fall apart. It was cluttered, dangerous, and unstable for my granddaughters to even be around, and I needed a better solution, something solid, safe, and organized. There was a tower of Amazon boxes hiding my Etsy products, which was covered with a pillowcase and used to hang the girls' art. And then there were those storage bins disguised as seats that were clumsy and very uncomfortable for the girls to even sit on. In the recent past, I'd been watching dozens of DIY cardboard furniture videos. I was fascinated how people were building real functional furniture out of nothing, so I saved a few to a playlist thinking, maybe I'd try a quick build one day. I grabbed the girls' little red cart and started emptying the room. I had no place to put anything, and by the time the room was empty, the rest of my apartment looked like a bomb had gone off. It was complete chaos everywhere. Toys were stacked against my bed and everything else wherever it would fit. Little did I realize what I was about to get myself into. There was no turning back now. We're kicking things off with project number 1, which is the kids' bench seating and hidden storage. This is all about creating a spot to hide my bins and place for the kids to sit. These bins are so tight to the wall I can't even fit the lids on them. So I'm adapting the plan. Project 1A, I'm building a structural front panel that notches right over the baseboards. Since I'm in a rental, there's no attaching things to walls. So this snug wall-to-wall fit is going to hold it all in place perfectly. Now we're starting with the first layer of this panel. You don't need any fancy materials for this. I'm just using some small packing boxes I had lying around. I unfold them, trim off the tabs, and tape the pieces together to create one solid continuous slab. But here's the secret for strength. Each piece of cardboard is 1/8 of an inch thick. To make this cardboard as strong as a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, I'm creating a cross laminate panel. That means I'm gluing and taping 6 separate layers together. The secret is to alternate the grain or the flute of the cardboard with every layer. That's how you get that massive structural strength. Now I'm only going to show you 3 layers here, so you don't have to watch me glue and tape all day. But trust me, there are 6 layers in the final product. To save you from the repetitive view, here's the final 6-layer slab, cured and ready for install. Next up is Project 1B, the top of the seat. To keep it lightweight but strong enough for the grandkids to jump on, I'm building a 2-inch thick hollow frame with structural support pieces locked right inside. To save time, I pre-made the top and bottom slabs and the outer side panels using double-layer cardboard, making them a sturdy 1/4 inch thick. From there, I'm jumping right into assembly, gluing the outer side panels directly down to the bottom slab to build up the main frame. I'm using a mixture of quick-set white wood glue as well as hot glue. The hot glue is instant and will hold the walls up immediately while the wood glue has time to set. The wood glue will add strength to the structure and ensure the walls stay put over time, whereas if I were to use just the hot glue, it may separate from the cardboard. In order to ensure the walls are set straight, I'm using the baseboards as a guide. For the internal grid, I'm using single layer 1/8 inch thick pieces and slotting them in one by one into interlocking herringbone pattern. I'm intentionally reinforcing the corners, the middle, and especially that front edge where the kids will sit. Because they're cut the exact vertical height, it locks everything tight with absolute zero give. And here it is, completely assembled. Now, full disclosure, when I first went to fit the finished lid, it was so perfectly tight to the wall that I realized there wouldn't even be room for the vinyl. So I actually had to trim a little off the edges to make it work. But look at the fit now. The bins are hidden, the structural lid is solid, and Project 1 build is officially complete. Okay, so day 2, and we have completed the build here. It's not properly affixed yet, and it's not covered. I'm still waiting for some products to come from Amazon. I did get the covering for the top here, but we're gonna wait because we're gonna need it for what's coming up next, which is the storage area. I'm super excited about this. I planned it so that there'd be a little secret storage for Grandma. So now, we get to it. Let's go. Here's the plan for day 2 build. We're using 3 separate stacks of boxes. By butting stack number 2 right up against the first, it creates a massive hidden storage space tucked right behind it. The front opening is only 12 inches, and to be honest, at this point, I had absolutely no clue how I was going to make doors for it without them banging into each other. But the plan was locked in, so I figured I'd solve that later. Now stack number 3 came with a few problems of its own. Originally, I wanted 15 by 15 inch boxes, but was only able to find 16 inch ones, which made the unit 3 inches too tall. I got smart, and I trimmed the middle one down by 3 inches, and that solved that issue. Now, I was going to build a standard cubby with doors, but once the bench seat was in, I realized it was going to come way too close to the seating area and feel completely blocked in for the girls. So I decided to slice that end unit in half diagonally to make corner shelves instead. Okay, here's the base. I actually built this ahead of time to keep things moving so you don't have to watch me repeat the exact same steps on camera. It's 3/4 of an inch thick, which is 6 layers of cardboard, and it uses the exact same measuring, cutting, and gluing principles we used for the front seat panel. You'll also notice I went ahead and cut a sharp diagonal angle right on the edge to coincide with the last minute changes to the blueprint. Alright, no more talking. Let's get into the build, starting with the first stack of boxes. Well, okay, so I'm not gonna lie. It took a little time to build this. I do have a life. I had other things I needed to do. So we are here another day. It's actually been a few days. Today we're gonna put on the top layer, which I have built ahead of time, which has taken me a while. You understand when we're doing this, we're actually putting several layers. The bottom, I believe, had about 6 or 7 layers for the platform. And I did do 3 layers for the top besides this. So that'll be 4 layers. So yeah, we're just gonna pick up where we left off. I'm starting to think maybe I bit off a little more than I could chew. I watch a couple videos where they do a little wardrobe and I think, so simple. So what do? I take on a project that's 3 times the size, well 4 times the size if you include the little seating area here. The way I figure, you gotta go big or go home. So if I can do it, you can do it. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so this is the top that I built, 3 layers thick. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the glue on the top here, and we'll go from there. Now this glue is actually going to make this very solid, just like wood. Okay. Here we go. Actually, I'm going to clamp this down here. This one, here we go. Put on the handy kitchen clips. There we go. Okay, put one there. Now we're going to put on the side panel that I built here. Same thing, we're just going to glue this and put the glue on here. Do a little shot in here. Okay, so now we're going to put the top on. I've never done this before. Should be interesting. I also feel like I need a stool for this, which I'm going to go get right now. Side first? I don't know. Should I do it right up and over? I almost feel like I need to turn this on the side. 47.5. $79.26. I think I'm going to do this. I don't know whether to do this in one piece or two pieces. Should I just start? I guess. Okay, here goes nothing. Now, from what I'm told, I need to fold this. Apparently, you're supposed to be able to reposition this stuff. Let's see what happens. Here goes nothing. That looks pretty good. I'm pretty impressed. How easy it was. That looks pretty nice. Can't really see it. Are you kidding me? Oh no. Come on. Now, I'm actually going to cut this diagonally. I know this seems like a waste, but I want it to look real. So I'm going to cut this diagonally. Goes up a bit. Okay, so now we're going to do this to here and to there. So that worked out really well. I'm really happy how that turned out. So let's get this back in order here. Okay, I'm going to be honest here. I had to turn off the original sound for this part and record a voiceover because I dropped more than a few F-bombs while fighting this particular vinyl. What I'm trying to do here is put white vinyl on the edges to cover up the raw cardboard before the inserts go in, but it just keeps curling up and falling off. Now I'm thinking maybe I'd cut the strips too thin, and maybe that's what the problem was. But after cutting another strip twice the width, I found out that was not the reason. This stuff was just so cheap it would not cooperate. Finally, I'd had enough. I grabbed the hot glue gun and managed to get one section done, which was all I needed for now. I ended up finishing the rest later on in the project off camera. Time for the inserts, yay! I am so excited to finally get to this part. Now, I did do this work off camera to save you from having to watch the time-consuming process. I had to patch together scraps of random cardboard just to create the sheets needed for 100 individual pieces, which then were glued together to make the 50 inserts required for this project. That right there is literally hours of work. Now at this point, only 2 rolls of the vinyl for the inserts had arrived from Amazon. 2 rolls will only cover 6 of the small squares and 4 of the rectangles. I had 8 more rolls on the way, but for now, there's enough to do the inserts for 1 cubby. So let's get started. So I pre-cut the vinyl I needed ahead of time. And just a note, this vinyl turned out to be not vinyl at all. It's more like a high-end peel and stick wallpaper, and as you can see by how easily it tears, it's already starting to give me a headache. I clipped the corners to get rid of the bulk, but beware. If you clip too close, it'll tear or separate and it'll be visible on the finished side, and you don't want that. One down, 49 to go. Okay, this stuff doesn't want to stick either. I am done messing around. I've sped this part up a lot to keep things moving, but I have to be honest. Once I got into the rhythm, this repetitive work actually became really meditative. It was a nice break to just focus on the task and let my mind clear for a while. Alright, now I have enough to insert one cubby. Now they need to go in this particular order so that they properly reinforce the unit. I did end up hot gluing them in for optimum strength and so that they wouldn't end up bowing under the weight of anything placed on top or inside the unit. While I'm waiting for the rest of this vinyl to arrive, we'll go ahead and cover the top of the bench seat. I'm using the same vinyl as I did for the outside of the storage unit, and I have that handy, so let's get her done. Alright, it's hard not to notice that my back is turned to the camera a lot, and that's just the reality of building in a room that's only 5 feet wide. I didn't have enough clearance to back the camera up, but I wanted to make sure you saw the process. It was a simple application, but remember how much I had to shave down that top piece during the build? Well, I'm happy to report that all that measuring really paid off and it fits like a glove. It was getting late and I had already started to change into my jammies, but I thought maybe, just maybe, I had enough of that other vinyl left to cover the front of the bench seats, so I went for it. But the struggle was real, folks. The paper kept ripping again, and I was so tired that I didn't even bother with the glue gun and I just grabbed the packing tape. Just to let you know what I was experiencing regarding the vinyl, or the lack thereof, although I had placed one order for 8 rolls, this vinyl was obviously coming from a lot of different Amazon locations, and they delivered exactly 1 roll a day for 8 days straight. I literally dubbed it the 8 days of vinyl and sang to the tune of the 12 days of Christmas, because when I actually did this build, it was the beginning of December, so it seemed appropriate. And wouldn't you know it, I ended up being just a few feet short of finishing, so I had to call it a night. But even though I had the camera set up the next morning when my 1 roll arrived, I forgot to turn it on and ended up finishing it without actually recording it. Each day when a package arrived, I got to work. As you can see, I was usually in my pajamas. Previously, I had used the hot glue gun on this paper, but it was drying way too fast and it wasn't adhering very well to this paper vinyl, and there was no way I was using packing tape on 45 inserts, so I ended up switching to the quick dry wood glue to ensure it would stay stuck and not start to peel off. Now, I'm not going to show all 45 inserts here, I'm just showing all of the different shapes I had to work with. But 8 days later, I had 8 empty rolls and all of the inserts were complete. I'm so excited to see my vision start to really take shape. To look at it, you'd never know it was totally made out of cardboard. Now for the part that I've been nervous about throughout this entire project. The doors. Now to attach the doors, I'm going to use drywall tape. It's sturdy, and by folding it in half, it'll act as a full-length hinge. Genius, I know. I'm hesitating because I have questions about how I am going to attach these with the unit upright. I'm nervous that they'll slip out of place while drying, so I decided there was only one solution. I need to lay this thing on its back. Now, I followed the process I'd seen in other videos where they covered only the outside until the door was attached, and then covered the other side after it was hung to hide the drywall tape on the inside. I found out later there was a much easier way when it came to the second door, which you'll see shortly. To start, I used only the wood glue to attach the first door and waited for a few hours. I realized that the wood glue had an issue adhering because of the smooth vinyl on vinyl, and had to bring in the hot glue gun to secure it better. On to door number 2. It's a good thing I have small feet because I literally had to tiptoe around the unit. There was barely 6 inches clearance and I nearly fell into it here. Covering both sides of the door at once made it adhere better, and it also made it a lot easier to trim off the excess drywall tape smoothly later on. Time to flip it back up and see how it turned out. The doors won't stay closed on their own right now, but I picked up some magnets ahead of time to fix that issue. Okay, so that worked. It was a little hectic having it down on the ground, but I think it really saved me in being able to line this up. I had 0 room to move around in here, literally like 1 foot on this side once I pushed it all over. But hey, my mom always told me, if there's a will, there's a way. And dang it, if there is a way, I will find it. Now, it was a little sketchy down on the ground. I couldn't step in it because I didn't want to rip something or tear something. Remember, it is made out of cardboard. But I think it was a great idea to put it on its back like that. Way easier to try and get these things lined up and the pressure on them while the glue dried. I can't imagine doing that. When I watch the YouTube videos, they use hot glue, but what I realized with my hot glue is it just dries too fast before I can get it on there. And I did try the hot glue on this side, but I had to peel it off. It literally hardened in a blob. And I was able to peel it off, and then I decided, you know what, I'm just going to use the regular fast drying wood glue, and that really saved my butt there. So now I do have to do the interior of this door. I actually did this full door before I put it on, which was so smart, and it really did work out really well. Yeah. So this door's done. It's well connected. I think I might have to put just a little bit of glue in here on this side. But other than that, now they don't stay closed, and I am going to be putting doorknobs on. The doorknobs are super, super heavy. I'm really excited about the doorknobs. Actually, I'm going to go get them. So I'm super stoked about these doorknobs. I wasn't sure what I wanted to put on. I was literally just going to buy some, black plastic ones, the cheapest ones at Home Depot. I think they were $2.99 a piece. They were just little black knobs. And I almost couldn't even justify paying $3 a piece for them. It really bothered me a bit. So I was at the Dollar Tree the other day, and I had seen these ornate doorknobs, and they had about 3 or 4 different kinds. And I saw them, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I want for my project at home. I had looked on Amazon for like crystal ones or, something similar to this. They were $30 a piece. And these are probably the biggest bargain of this entire project. I paid $1.75 each. Look at these. They like little flowers. The girls are gonna love them. They're super heavy, and they do have a really long back on them. So I was getting the doors ready while I was waiting for this to dry for what I'm doing in this area. So I already sort of put them together. Basically, I have to cut this off, and I have to drag all my tools out looking for a saw. I tried to use my my angle grinder, but I'm inside my apartment. There were sparks flying, and I just didn't feel very comfortable doing that. So I did find one of my hand saws. I had to go through like my toolboxes that are stuffed in my closet, but I did find my hand saws, and so I did cut them for my doors that are going to go there. But I still need to cut them here. I'm going to bring out the doors and tell you what I'm going to be doing over on this side now. There's getting in my way. So basically, here they are on the doors that I put in here. What I'm doing with this area, because I thought, oh, I can just put a door here, but too many doors hitting each other. I didn't think it would be a good idea. So what I decided was I would try and put something together where I'm going to make these little sliding doors. So I made these little things that I'm going to just glue in place. They're just little guides so that my doors will stay in place. I'll put one on the top and one on the bottom of each of these. I don't know how it's going to work. I'm not bringing it all the way across. I'm just taking it to a certain spot. So basically these doors are just going to go in here like this. And then they're going to pull shut. That's what they're going to look like. I hope it looks okay with I think actually putting these doors with the same fabric as the inside and the same fabric that's over here on this area, which I don't think I'm going to put a door on. I think I'm just going to leave it like shelves for the girls to put their things on. And then they can use it as like a cup holder, or if they're sitting there playing their games or whatever. Anyways, I thought it sort of balanced it out. I didn't want a lot of wood grain, and I didn't want just that covered and sticking out like a sore thumb, like I forgot to put a door on it or something. So I thought by covering these with the same material, it would sort of balance things out. Let me know what you think in the comments. Literally, this is the last step, except this one got a little bent, so it's going to have a mark in it, but basically I have these to go, these strips to go along here, and I've already built all of these to basically go across here and cover that in all the way down, right? So it's going to hold the doors in place. So that's what we're going to do next. So I trimmed off the excess drywall tape off camera, and I'll be honest, I used my knife and ended up cutting one of the inserts. Nothing that a little transparent tape didn't fix. And now, covering the inside of the door. By the end, I had about 1 inch of vinyl to spare. Alright, we're on the home stretch, installing the sliding doors and the trim around them and the base of the unit. Let's get it done. Now for the finishing touch. We just need to finish installing the last of the doorknobs. After that, it's a wrap. Okay, you guys, so I'm done. Finally, my goodness. This has been way longer than I thought that it would take to do this, but I'm super, super happy. I couldn't be more happy with the way it turned out. When you think about what I started with or what I had for this, I am super thrilled, and I'm pretty sure the grandkids are going to be pretty excited as well. Not too bad for not really having a plan and just winging it. Let's take a look. Sliding doors, I love those. I think that was a great idea. I mean, they're not perfect, but they slide. And that really solved my problem. I really, really love it. Now, I ran out of the white vinyl, so I don't know over here whether I'm going to put those little things here. I don't really think it needs it. I actually like this, and I liked it over there as well, but I needed something to hold those doors in, so that was kind of why I put the strips here. So, I don't know, let me know what you think. Think I should finish it off by putting it there? Do you think I should put a door on there? I just didn't want to put a door because when it opens up, it's going to sort of hit the seating area here, right? So I think leaving it open like that and letting the kids have a place to sort of showcase their toys or whatever is going on there. So the only thing I have left to do now is to finally load the room. I can't wait tonight to be able to sleep without toys around my bed. Just saying. It's a rough life being a grandma. Okay, Before I show you the final reveal, I want to take a minute to break down the total cost that I incurred for this build. I'm doing this because out of all of the videos that I've watched, everyone states zero cost or trash to treasure or plain doesn't mention cost or the time that is actually spent. So I'm here to blow that myth, no cost, no time, out of the water and break it down. We'll start with the adhesives. Arrow 24 pack long glue sticks. Cost was $14.33. 4-pack of packing tape. The cost for the 4-pack was $10.63. I also used a few rolls that I already had at home. LePage Express Quick Dry Wood Glue 400 milliliters. Cost $19.59. Gorilla Ultimate Fast Dry Wood Glue. The cost is $16.77. Aleene's Fast Dry Tacky Glue. I had this from a previous project, but it was still full, so the cost of that was $17.91. Total cost for adhesives was $79.23. Next we have the vinyl, which I purchased all on Amazon. The accent vinyl that I used was 17.7 inches by 118 inches, which if you were to do a wall, for instance, it would literally cover one strip from floor to ceiling. The cost per roll was $14.29, and I used a total of 10 rolls, so that total price was $142.92. The wood grain used for the top of the bench seat and the outer portion of the storage unit was 17.3 inches by 236 inches, and I used 2 of those with about an inch to spare. It was $25.52 per roll with a total cost of $51.04. And the white mat used for the trim was 11 inches by 100 inches, and I used 1 roll, and the cost for that was $13.42. Total cost for the vinyl was $207.36. On to the boxes. So I ended up purchasing 15 of the 27 by 15 inch large Home Depot boxes, which were $3.55 each, totaling $59.66. 6 of those were for the structure of my unit. The others I used for the top, sides, and doors. I picked up 3 16 by 16 boxes that I used for the little shelves area at the end of my unit from Rona. They were $2.59 each for a total of $8.79. I did have 10 large Amazon boxes that I had emptied from my storage unit, along with some other shipping boxes I had left over from my Amazon store, which were also used in the build, so those were free. So the total spent on boxes was $68.45. Just a note, I actually purchased a lot of the boxes because I needed 9 exact sizes to make up the structure of my unit. If you want to save money and get the boxes from a local store, I suggest the larger the better to use for things like the side panels and the doors. You really want clean, smooth cardboard for any parts that are going to be visible, because once you put the vinyl on, all the imperfections will show through. If you have boxes that have been kicking around or are all banged up, they're really great to use during the layering process of the base on the inside layers. So, the grand total spent on this project: adhesives, $79.23, vinyl, $207.36, boxes, $68.45, with the grand total of $355.04. Now on to the reveal. I just have to say though, for the money I spent on this build, I would not have been able to purchase or build with wood a storage unit and bench seat for this cost. This was custom built to fit my small rental space, and it's easy to remove when I leave. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I truly hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I loved bringing it to life. I never expected that a few boxes and some glue could help me find my focus and save my sanity, but here we are. I'm so glad you are here to experience it with me, and I can't wait to share my next project with you. I've already got one in the works. Stay tuned.